All right, let's dive into this. This should be pretty interesting. Water aerobics. We've got a whole bunch of articles here, medical journals and fitness blogs, even some like personal stories. So should be pretty interesting to see what we find.
Yeah, it's definitely more than just splashing around. We're gonna unpack why this is well, it's gaining popularity for sure.
Yeah, and who it might be a really good fit for. You know, it's funny. One of the articles that you sent me from Well Plus Good, we author starts out and they're like, "Oh, this is gonna be easy, like real easy workout, sort of like senior citizen stuff."
Yeah.
But they got a huge reality check.
Yeah, it's definitely a misconception that I think a lot of people have.
Right.
Um, and part of it is just that we don't intuitively grasp how being in the water changes things. Like on land, it's just us and gravity, right?
Right. Right.
But in the pool, like every movement that you make,
Yeah.
you're pushing against all these water molecules.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, they put up a fight.
So it's not just that we're in water; it's that the water is like part of the workout.
Exactly. Think of it this way, right? Water is like 800 times denser than air.
Wow.
So that means every kick and every arm raise you do, it's like having these tiny little weights all over you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's no wonder, like the article said that the resistance in water is like 12 to 14 times stronger than air resistance.
Wow. Okay, I see why that author was surprised. Yeah. And one of the experts in the articles said that the faster you move, the more that resistance increases too. So it's not like a one size fits all kind of intensity.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes it so adaptable, right? So somebody who's, say, recovering from an injury can move really slowly and get, kind of a gentle strengthening.
Right, right.
But like a super fit person could really turn up the speed and get a real burn too.
This is blowing my mind already, and we haven't even gotten to like the specific benefits yet. I mean, why should somebody care about this extra resistance? Like what's it actually doing for them?
So let's start with something that I think a lot of people struggle with:
Mm.
joints. So imagine if you could do, squats or lunges, all those moves that we know are like good for us,
Right,
but you could do them without gravity just pounding down on your knees and your hips and your ankles,
right.
right? So the water supports you, so you get the muscle work, but without all that wear and tear.
And one of the articles, I think it was from Looming Life, they were pointing out that even people with arthritis can do like modified squats in the water.
Right.
That's huge for folks who thought that those kinds of exercises were like totally off limits.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about um, making those things like easier. That same support, it also means you get a wider range of motion. So
Yeah.
like water aerobics can actually help you to improve your flexibility
Yeah.
because your joints can move more freely in the water.
Oh. So it's like a 2-for-1, like easier on the joints and helps them to like move better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So what else is going on?
So all that resistance also has another benefit, and that is it's kind of cardio in disguise because your heart have to work harder to pump your blood as you're pushing against all that resistance of the water.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Very Well Health article, they actually cited some studies that show that people who do water aerobics regularly, their blood pressure actually improves.
Wait, so it's good for the heart too. This is way more than I thought.
Yeah, it's really a whole body workout. Speaking of whole body, have you ever noticed how swimmers tend to have like really toned physiques?
Right,
Well,
right.
that's because that water resistance is like built in weightlifting, so you're
Yeah.
building muscle with like every stroke.
Okay, so we've got happy joints, stronger heart. Are we getting ripped too? Is that part of it?
You can definitely see improvements in muscle
Yeah.
definition. And if you want to add even more challenge, you can start to use some of that equipment that you see,
Yeah.
like those foam dumbbells
Right, right.
or those water paddles that you
Yeah.
can use to increase the resistance on your arms.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this can be tailored to like different fitness levels. Like you could start out gently and then as you get stronger, add in those extras and keep pushing yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And all of this is happening while you're burning more calories than you would if you were doing those same exercises on land.
Oh, wow.
Because of that water resistance,
Yeah.
your body just has to work that much harder.
Hmm.
So you're burning energy even when you're doing these like low impact moves.
And the Looming Life article, they mentioned that water aerobics can actually increase your metabolic rate too.
Right.
So you keep burning calories even after you're done with the workout.
It's like a gift that keeps on giving. Yeah, and it's not just about, calories and all of that. There's this whole other side to water aerobics that we haven't even like touched on yet.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the mental and emotional benefits.
Okay, I'm hooked. We got to dive into that. All right, my mind is officially blown. Like all those physical benefits we just talked about, that's amazing.
Yeah.
But you mentioned there's like a mental side to water aerobics too, so tell me more about that.
Yeah, so just think about like how being in or near water makes you feel right.
Right.
There's a reason why like we're drawn to water. It's calming, it's relaxing. Um it can even be kind of playful.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of taps into something like primal and soothing in us.
I'm a total water baby, so I get that. But how does that translate to like a workout benefit?
Well, so the Looming Life article, they actually talk about this.
Okay.
And they say that the water's resistance, like while it's definitely challenging your muscles, it's also forcing you to move in a more controlled way.
Okay.
And so it's almost like meditative,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay.
You're not jerking around, you're not straining, you're just kind of flowing.
So instead of that kind of like go, go, go energy of a lot of workouts, this is more about being present, like in your body, in the moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can have a huge impact on stress reduction.
Mm-hmm.
And then, plus you get the endorphin rush that you get from any exercise, which we know boosts your mood, makes you feel more confident.
Right. Right.
So it's all good stuff.
I'm feeling more zen just thinking about it, honestly.
Right.
But let's get practical for a minute. Like, let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, okay, I'm sold. I want to try this. Like, what's step one? Where do they begin?
Yeah. I mean, the most important thing is finding the right class for you.
Okay.
And the Living Life article, they really emphasize this. Like having a qualified instructor is key,
Okay.
especially if you have any kind of like specific health conditions or concerns.
So this isn't just about like jumping in any pool and flailing around. There's like actual expertise involved here.
Absolutely. Yeah, a good instructor can tailor the exercises to, people's different needs and abilities.
Right.
And they can also show you modifications if you're, maybe working around an injury or something like that.
It makes sense, yeah. It's like any kind of fitness, you want to have someone who knows what they're doing.
Exactly.
But where do you even find water aerobics classes?
You'd be surprised. There's actually a lot more options than you might think.
Okay.
Gyms are an obvious one, but also like community centers, YMCAs, even some senior living communities have fantastic programs.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's definitely worth like checking around locally to see what's available.
And what about gear? Do you need like special water weights or anything like that?
The great thing is you don't really need much to get started.
Okay.
A comfortable swimsuit is obviously key,
Oh.
and then the water itself is providing the resistance.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as you kind of progress, you can start to add in things like those foam dumbbells or water paddles to kind of amp up the intensity.
The Well Plus Good article, they actually described some of the exercises, and that sounded kind of fun, actually, like jogging in place, arm circles.
Yeah.
They even had one called the Hydro Push, which I'm picturing as some kind of like underwater superhero move.
Yeah.
So it definitely sounds more dynamic than I think a lot of people realize.
Yeah, it definitely can be. And, a good instructor is going to keep things interesting. They might incorporate music, different movement patterns, that kind of thing. It's not just standing in one spot.
Right, right.
So, yeah.
Okay, so it's a workout that's good for your body and your mind. It can be a social activity too. Like it's like the trifecta of fitness.
It is, yeah.
But let's address the elephant in the room here, right? I mean, I know there are people out there who think that water aerobics is just for, well, older folks. Is that true?
Not at all. That's another one of those misconceptions that we need to bust. Water aerobics is really adaptable to all ages and fitness levels.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. Like a young athlete could use it for cross training. Someone who's recovering from an injury could use it to rebuild strength gently.
Mm-hmm.
Like the possibilities are really kind of endless.
So it's less about age and more about what you're looking to get out of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's something else that I think is really fascinating about water aerobics. And we've talked about the physical, we've talked about the mental, but I think there's almost like a spiritual element to it too.
Ooh. I like where this is going. Tell me more.
So just think about how water is associated with like cleansing and renewal.
Right.
And when you're submerged in water, there's this sense of weightlessness, like you're being kind of cocooned and held.
Yeah, it's almost like being back in the womb in a way. Like it's very, very calming.
Right, exactly. And then you add in like the rhythmic movements, the focus on your breath, the way that the water supports you.
Yeah.
Like it can be incredibly
So
powerful.
it's not just a workout, it's almost like a sensory experience, it sounds like.
Exactly. And I think, that's what really sets water aerobics apart. It really is a holistic practice. It's connecting us to our bodies, to our minds, and maybe even to, a sense of something bigger than ourselves.
Wow. This has gone so far beyond just like splashing around. But I am curious. Are there any downsides to water aerobics? Like is it all just sunshine and underwater rainbows?
Well, no form of exercise is completely perfect for everyone,
Right.
and there's some potential drawbacks that we should consider, and we should definitely talk about those before we wrap things up.
Okay, I'm ready to dive into the less than perfect side of things. All right, so we've gone through all the awesome benefits of water aerobics, and we even talked about, how to get started, but you did say there's another side to all of this. Like, what are some things we should watch out for? What are some of the drawbacks?
Yeah, I mean, like any exercise, water aerobics isn't like a magical solution for everything.
Right.
And it's not necessarily going to be a perfect fit for everybody. I think one of the biggest things is just, access to a pool.
Right. Yeah, not everybody's got like a condo with a pool or belongs to some fancy gym or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. And even if you can find a pool, not all pools are like created equal.
Oh, okay.
You ideally want one that's heated, especially if you're going to be doing this, year round.
Right.
Because getting in cold water can be a real deterrent.
Yeah, no kidding. Shivering in the pool doesn't sound like a good time.
Right.
And the Very Well Health article, they mentioned something that seems kind of counterintuitive. The risk of dehydration. Right.
Like you would think that, being surrounded by all this water would keep you hydrated, but
It's easy to forget to drink when you're not like dripping sweat the way you do on land.
right, right.
But you are still sweating when you're in the water. So bringing like a water bottle with you and making sure to stay hydrated is just as important as with any other workout.
Okay, so it's not just about finding a pool, it's about finding like the right pool.
Right.
And remembering all the, the regular stuff like hydrating and things.
Yeah.
What else should we be thinking about?
Well, we talked about, how the social aspect can be a real plus for some people, but for others, the group setting might not be ideal.
Right.
Some people just prefer to exercise solo, or they might feel a little self-conscious in a group.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've definitely been to like fitness classes where I felt intimidated because everyone seems so coordinated
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just there trying to keep up. Right, exactly. And water aerobics can definitely have that same dynamic.
Yeah.
Some classes might be more advanced or the vibe just might not be a good fit for everyone. So it's worth like checking out different classes or instructors to find one that feels comfortable for you.
It's like dating, but for fitness.
Right.
You gotta find the right match. Okay, so anything else on the con list? Anything we're missing?
Well, the Very Well Health article also mentioned being careful not to push yourself too hard, especially when you're first starting out.
Okay.
It's easy to feel like you can do more because the water makes things feel easier,
Right.
but you can still overdo it and risk injury.
So it's that same advice that applies to any workout, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Listen to your body, don't compare yourself to others and gradually increase your intensity. But I'm wondering, for people who are already really fit, like could water aerobics almost feel too easy? Like is it challenging enough for them?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And it's true that, water aerobics is often seen as a lower impact form of exercise, which is great for, recovery or if you have joint issues. But remember, that water resistance, like it can really be cranked up.
Right. We
You know?
talked about the dumbbells, we talked about the paddles. Like you can really challenge yourself if you want to.
Exactly, yeah. And you can also, adjust the speed and the intensity of your movements. Like
Right.
a really seasoned athlete could turn a seemingly simple water jog into like a high intensity interval session.
Yeah.
So it really is all about how you approach it.
Okay, so it's versatile, it's adaptable. It sounds like there's really something there for everyone. But I got to ask, like at the end of all this, at the end of this deep dive, what's your final takeaway? Like is water aerobics something you would recommend?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's a fantastic option for anyone who's looking for a fun, effective, and, relatively accessible way to move their body.
Um,
It's great for your physical health, it's great for your mental well-being, and it can be a really wonderful way to connect with others.
And you never know, you might even discover a deeper connection to yourself through that unique experience of moving in water, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of it. It's more than just a workout. It's an opportunity to explore, to play, to rediscover that joy of movement.
Well, I think we have officially busted the myth that water aerobics is just you know, for grannies. Like it's a
Yeah.
powerful, adaptable form of exercise that deserves all the hype it's getting.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Well, thanks so much for guiding us through this deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm definitely ready to jump in and give water aerobics a try.
Awesome. Well, I hope you do. And for our listeners, we encourage you to explore the world of water fitness. You might be surprised at what you discover.
That's a wrap for our deep dive on water aerobics. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.